What's good, YouTube? It's Vex Reacts, and I'm back with another reaction video. Today we got the next BTS, why they fail every time. Will there ever be a next BTS? I feel like as a new group, you shouldn't even try to aim to be the next BTS. You should just be the best version of you, and if you happen to get to a height that you never thought you could get, then that's when you get there. You know, don't put no pressure on yourself, and don't try to be somebody else, because those people came at a specific time and they were great for their own specific reasons. Be great for your own reasons. You know what I'm saying? Let's get straight into the video and see what they got to say about this.
In 2019, BTS were already well established as the biggest group in the world. 2 years after their American TV debut had already passed, and their success only kept growing. The name BTS was associated with some of the biggest names in the music industry.
Facts.
This helped K-pop grow as a whole, but BTS were the only ones in the spotlight in the Western music industry. The K-pop industry noticed this, so SM, one of the biggest entertainment agencies in South Korea, had the idea to create a supergroup formed of the 7 most popular members of some of the most popular K-pop groups, and promoted them as the Avengers of K-pop.
Who are they? What was the group name? SuperM? I've never heard of them. What happened?
This way, their success was supposed to be guaranteed, and their chances of becoming the next BTS were bigger than the chances of the hundreds of other K-pop groups also trying to level with the success of BTS. This supergroup did everything they could. Their label SM Entertainment partnered with the US label Capitol Records. Their debut stage was in Hollywood. Their TV debut was on the Ellen DeGeneres Show. They also performed on Jimmy Kimmel. Their premiere event was in Los Angeles.
Bro, they really set them up, bro. I'm not gonna lie. They threw them an alley-oop for sure.
And had American press. Their debut album had 8 different versions, 1 regular version and 1 individual edition for each of the 7 members. And they started an American tour right away. All of this promotion helped them get a #1 on the Billboard 200 albums charts, making them the 2nd Korean act to top the chart, only after BTS. This made Los Angeles Times and entertainment companies predict that this group was going to be the next BTS. But there was something weird. Outside of the K-pop sphere, no one really knew about them. They were everywhere, and their album was #1, but the songs of the album were nowhere to be found on song charts like the Billboard Hot 100.
Wait, how though? How? I feel like making a group like this would not be as beneficial, because usually when you have your individual groups, like, they pull people who are already in other groups. But the problem with this is the bond. You know what I'm saying? The connection. It wouldn't necessarily be the same. Just like, the music would probably be really good, but you're sacrificing what really make a K-pop group a K-pop group. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the music and how well it sounds, but it's also their connection, not only with each member, but with the fans. You know what I'm saying? The history, you know?
Or even in the top 20 of the bubbling under Hot 100. And right after their album debuted at #1, it disappeared from the top 10. Their second album had a similar story. The Avengers of K-pop performed in American TV shows and even partnered with Marvel for limited edition merchandise. But their album debuted at #2 with none of its songs charting on the Hot 100. This was only one of the multiple failed next BTS attempts, whether they are Korean girl groups or Korean boy groups. Year after year, Korean entertainment agencies and American music labels have been trying to replicate BTS's success.
But why though? That's what I'm not understanding. Am I tweaking? Why can't I grasp that? Why would you want to be the next BTS? Why not just go hard on being you? Create your own type of thing. You think all of these people like BTS, you know, Apple, Google, you think all of them became what they was trying to be the next something? Like, a lot of them have their own brand, and you got to build your own brand for people to attach to. And if you're good enough, people will attach themselves to you. Like, what's going on?
You guys are the biggest boy band in the world.
It's not a secret that the K-pop industry has been studying BTS's popularity for years. An industry official said, right now, the biggest concern in the K-pop industry is who will make the next BTS. So all attention is focused on the performance of the United States. The entertainment agency's main strategy to set the narrative that their group is the actual next BTS is to hyper-focus on getting 1 or 2 achievements that BTS previously had. But since this is almost impossible, they go out of their way to find strategies in which they can be named together, hoping that people won't bother to know the context. One example is album sales. BTS are the 2nd group only after the Beatles to get 3 #1 albums in less than a year. These
3 #1 albums in less than a year? Nah, that's work. That's hustle. That's dedication.
This phrase was everywhere.
And then you also got to think that the radio also not helping them. You also got to think Spotify also not helping them. They deleting views, they deleting streams. So let's keep that in mind. Nah, BTS might actually be ridiculous.
They just became the first group since the Beatles to earn 3 #1 albums in less than a year.
This is a very hard record for K-pop or for any artist to achieve, but getting at least one #1 album may be enough to be named in the same conversation as BTS. So although these groups cannot have an organic #1 album because of lack of demand in the US, they still can sell multiple versions of the same album with different pictures that fans can collect at a very small price. This will lead to a lot of album sales, but not song sales or streams.
Yeah.
So the normal thing for a real #1 album is to have at least one top 10 song or multiple songs on the Billboard Hot 100.
Yeah,
because
facts.
if an album is popular, then at least one song of the album has to be popular. This doesn't happen with K-pop albums because they are not actually big in the US, but that doesn't matter. These groups technically have a #1 or a #2 album, so entertainment agencies will use this to pretend like they will be the next BTS because
And this is something important, not only for, you as an individual, but the masses need to pay attention to. Do not pay attention to these blogs and all of these information sites, because a lot of these people, they just trying to get engagement. They trying to have people talking. They trying to be the next, they trying to have a hit. Like, no. Like, they are not in touch with the population. They do not talk for us. You know what I'm saying? We are our own people, and the numbers show, the people show what's going on. We have the power, and in every situation, we have the power, but we don't be taking that seriously. You feel like just because you one person, it don't matter. But you have to find the group of people who just like you so that y'all can get together and start a revolution. You know what I'm saying? Make a resolution. You know what I'm saying? And really take over. And I feel like that's what BTS got. They have an army who gonna stick behind them and do exactly what they need to do to get to where they want to be. And that's how you do it.
they have the same achievement. Another example, BTS are one of the few artists who can sell out stadium tours these days. This is something extremely hard even for the biggest Western artists you can imagine. So K-pop's strategy to pretend like they also have a stadium tour is to have at least one concert in places like the Bank of California Stadium, which doesn't actually have a stadium capacity. It has an arena capacity of only 20,000 people. A stadium is just part of the arena venue's name. An actual stadium tour, like BTS's tours, is composed of multiple concerts in stadiums with 40,000 to 80,000 seats in each concert. So thanks to media play, other K-pop groups can be named as the next BTS because they are supposedly having stadium tours when they are actually performing in arenas, theaters, and one arena venue that has a stadium in its name. These type of strategies are very common. Whenever BTS does something, the K-pop industry focuses on that something. This is why K-pop groups started submitting their work to the Grammys only after BTS started getting nominations to the Grammys. And not only that, but if BTS is nominated to Best Pop Duo Group Performance, the media's attention is on Best Pop Duo Group Performance. So K-pop groups submit their songs for this category. One of the latest BTS Grammy nominations is for...
I feel like those groups kind of trying to feel like if they got a chance, why not put ours up there? And hopefully we got a chance, to at least contend because they got a chance and they the best group. You know what I'm saying? Or the biggest group.
Their songs for this category. One of the latest BTS Grammy nominations is for Best Music Video. This is a new achievement for them because they've never been nominated for this category. So I can assure you that next year, K-pop groups will start submitting their music videos for this category, and the media will drop predictions saying that they will also be nominated because the industry only goes after what BTS already has.
And it's the problem. See, once you got to be 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. Once you seen that they did something, you should have did 3, 4 times as much. Instead of just going for the category that they got nominated for, just put your music up for all of the categories that you think that you would be able to get. If you got nice music videos and you actually put the work in, then say, I'm gonna nominate y'all for the music videos just because I think y'all talented enough. Don't do it because other people doing it and you might not get a chance just because they didn't do it. No, you got to be able to take the risk. Same thing with y'all. Take the risk. UK pop.
All of these were the next BTS K-pop attempts. But what about Western attempts? In a video
Western?
I made some time ago, I went through the multiple attempts of creating the next big boy band after One Direction. And these attempts came around 2016 and 2017, when BTS were rising to popularity in the West and were named the biggest group in the world. However, I don't think these new boy bands were trying to be the next BTS, because BTS were fairly new and BTS were seen as a fluke or a weird phenomenon that will last probably 1 or 2 years. But year after year passed by, and the multiple new Western boy bands, which were backed by the biggest Western music labels, kept failing trying to surpass BTS. And not even the biggest comebacks of popular old boy bands could compete against BTS. So in 2019, Simon Cowell, the creator of One Direction, had the amazing idea of creating a new British group that would become bigger than BTS. He said that his UK pop group will destroy the K-pop group which is ruling the world.
What?
We're going to try and find either the biggest boy group in the world or the biggest girl group in the world. We've done it before, we're going to do it again. Right now, K-pop, you could argue, is ruling the world. Now, it's time for UK pop.
So his singing show The X Factor had a special season called The X Factor The Band, dedicated to group together a boy band and a girl band. These two groups would then compete against each other, and the winner would get a
I'm not gonna lie, looks-wise, they not doing it.
Deal with Simon Cowell's label Psycho Music, released their debut album, and become the biggest group in the world. In the end, the boy band Simon created ended up losing the show, not signing to Psycho Music and breaking up a few months after their creation. The girl group did get a record deal with Psycho Music, but they never released a debut album, and one of the 6 members left the group to pursue a solo career. In 2022, they left Psycho Music, signed to Warner Records, and another member left the group. Another attempt of creating the next BTS failed once again.
The American Music Award goes to
BTS! Lily?
The latest attempt of finding the next BTS joined the forces of the K-pop industry and the biggest representative of the Western music industry, Billboard.
Bro, why do it seem like they really trying to take them down? What did they do?
Billboard Awards was an event organized by the K-Culture Festival and Billboard, which attempted to highlight the biggest achievements of K-pop artists based on the Billboard charts. The organizer said, "This is part of our mission to find the next BTS. We will strictly adhere to Billboard's point system." But do you know what happens when you adhere to Billboard's point system?
They manipulate
BTS wins. So they also named the second place as the winners, continuing their strategy to associate K-pop groups with BTS, even when the gap between first and second place is abysmal.
There's been so many legends to walk through this door. There's been Frank Sinatra, the Beatles, Dean Martin, and now we have, wait for it, the Avengers of K-pop.
SM's founder, Is was the one with the idea of creating the Avengers of K-pop, and this was one of his multiple attempts of creating the next BTS. But since he fails every time, at some point, the media started naming him as the mastermind behind BTS, when he literally had zero relation to the group. He was actually managing groups that tried to directly compete against BTS. But he is not the only one. The 3 biggest K-pop labels are pushing the idea that their groups are actually the next BTS.
Bro, I hate that they try to put them in that category because, you know, unknowingly, that go towards their reputation too, that their label is feeling this type of way. And it's like, why try to compete? Like, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, you want to compete and, you know, have a spirit about you that you are like that. But at the same time, it's like, why not stay in your lane and try to get it authentically like the originals did? You know what I'm saying? That's what made them so popular, because they got it on their own, not because, you know, they tried to chase somebody else.
SM had the Avengers of K-pop, but since they are on a hiatus, he is now pushing a 4-member girl group to become the future of K-pop. YG is using media play and allegedly buying awards in small American award shows to pretend like his biggest girl group is on the same level as BTS. And most recently, JYP had Korean media suddenly releasing multiple articles naming his group as the next BTS. I don't think this is a coincidence. This all seems like premeditated media play. But how is it that they keep failing, even with all the media play they can get? I found some common factors in their failed attempts. First is lack of originality. If BTS releases an album trilogy about self-love and acceptance, K-pop starts singing about self-love and acceptance.
Oh, no way. I'm not gonna lie, this is looking really damaging for other groups.
As I began to love myself. If BTS releases a song like Fake Love, K-pop groups immediately release songs with a dark aesthetic. BTS stops the dark aesthetic and releases Boy With Love. K-pop groups release songs with a pink aesthetic.
This is crazy.
BTS releases a song titled Life Goes On. K-pop releases Life Is Still Going On. BTS
that's crazy.
Smooth Like Butter. K-pop releases Sweet Like Mango. And these are just trivial examples that don't really matter much.
Let me know down in the comment section. Do y'all believe this is a coincidence, or is this too good to be true and somebody behind the scenes is trying to do something? Let me know in the comments.
The key here is lack of originality. K-pop does the same thing over and over again, and that is not necessarily a bad thing for a K-pop audience. But if you keep trying to make this work in a Western audience, you will keep failing. Number 2 is trying to be unique in the wrong aspect. When the next BTS attempts actually try to be original, they sometimes try to be original in everything but the music. An example of this is SM's attempt of creating a metaverse group with 4 members who are real people and 4 members who are their virtual alter egos. So producers are not trying to find unique, interesting artists with new, rare, or just not so common musical elements. They are trying to create groups that are different in aspects that music fans don't care about. I personally think that the Avengers,
like, they missing the core feeling, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's where a lot of people lose themselves, because they feel like, oh, we can't, reinvent something that already happened. We can't be unique in that factor. And it's like, you can be unique in that factor. You just haven't trusted yourself. You haven't tapped into your internal creativity, and you missed the key factor that makes music good. And it's the relationship between the music, the personalities behind the music, and the community that they build. You know what I'm saying?
Of K-pop idea was not the worst idea ever, but they focused too much on everything except for the music. SM tried to sell the idea that this group's unique aspect was that, unlike BTS and the others, the members had a manly man aesthetic. But who cares if they look like masculine men with black clothes who are called the Avengers when their music is this? You know how you get down, drop it, how we get down, drop it. By the way, if you like this song, it's completely fine. I'm just saying that I think we can all understand why it didn't succeed in America.
I get you. I get what you mean. Like, the song didn't really seem to match the masculine. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the lyrics, and maybe I didn't get the full context because I didn't hear the song, but just from the little snippet, it's not giving like masculine and how they pushing their personality. The best example is BTS. Their energy, they're like their energy outside of music is very cohesive with their energy on the music. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's important, to really show yourself throughout the music.
Completely fine. I'm just saying that I think we can all understand why it didn't succeed in America. So once they failed, they left the manly man aesthetic and went back to the first mistake. Right after BTS released their first English single Dynamite and sang about shining through the city and being like Diamond, this group changed Diamond for Gold and sang in English about shining bright like gold. And don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with following music trends, but if that's all you do, you won't stand out.
Facts though, facts. Like, it's perfectly fine to, mess with trends, chase trends from time to time, just because it will allow your audience, your already established audience, if you have one, to attach yourself to the trend and see how you did it differently, how unique you did it. And that is all fun and games, but they also need to be able to attach to your originality and what made them fall in love with you originally. And if you don't have no originality, no core fan base who rock with you for you, then they not gonna check the trends. You know what I'm saying? They not gonna rock with you, because I think a lot of corporations and people who just out of touch with the normal people out in the world, I think they forget that people not stupid. They could tell when somebody's genuine. Even when you go from day to day, you can tell when somebody's genuine with you or not. And you have your outliers. But for the most part, you could tell when somebody's genuine and when somebody really reaching. You know what I'm saying?
especially when you're trying so hard to create the next BTS. Number 3 is the lack of raw talent. Pretty people singing with loud pre-recorded vocals or playback are almost a rule in K-pop, but that won't work if you want to be the next BTS and you're debuting in America. K-pop is prioritizing looks way more than it should be. YG admitted that his biggest girl group was just a prettier version of a previous girl group. He said, "If you ask me to distinguish my new group from my last group, I want to say I did not try to make them different. If you ask me what differentiates them from other girl groups, I will say I did not form them with that in mind. I tried to make a girl group like I did with my previous girl group, but this time I wanted the girls to look pretty too. I won't pretend like looks don't matter in the
Bro, he low-key just bashed them.
Western music industry, because they do. But good looks and a nice aesthetic is not enough. Korean labels need to start prioritizing at least a little of talent and passion for music.
Facts.
Finally,
the
I
talent
think
make
the
a
next
difference.
BTS attempts keep failing because music labels are obsessed with control and being the main character. I think they want to control all of their group's steps because the CEOs want to be recognized for finding and paying the best songwriters in the industry.
And this will be a kryptonite of a company. You know what I'm saying? I always think of it like sports. If you're a coach and your son play on the team, if he's not the best player, you cannot treat him like the best player just because y'all are blood, just because you like your son. You know what I'm saying? He has to play his role in order for the team to be successful. And if you don't have a leader in position who knows the team's strengths and weaknesses, notice I said weaknesses, then your team is going to fail. And that's something that being a part of teams throughout my life has taught me, for sure, for sure.
Want to be recognized
You can't
for
win out with
finding
the glory.
and paying the best songwriters in the industry instead of encouraging their interpreters to be artists. I think this is why JYP had articles putting his picture on his group's articles so he can be called the mastermind behind the next BTS. This is also why SM was everywhere saying that he was the one with the idea of creating the Avengers of K-pop and the Metaverse group.
I want to take the time to acknowledge a very special guest we have in the building. We have producer, Mr. SuperM.
That's not what BTS's label did, and that's not what Namjoon did as the leader of BTS. They let the group shine as a group. With that said, I don't think it's necessarily bad that the producers behind a group explain the process of creating a group, but the focus should be on the group and their music, not on the CEOs. Number 5 is not accepting that BTS are way too out of their league.
Bro, the thing is, if you want your credit, you can't try to beg for your credit. You know what I'm saying? And that go for anything in life. You gotta let the actual results show who really like that. You know what I'm saying? And the results gonna show. The results gonna show for sure.
This person tweeted, "It all boils down to these labels refusing to accept that BTS is not just a K-pop group anymore. They are talked about in actual pop conversations. They have solidified a legacy. They are literally worldwide A-listers, global artists. Music labels make every move based off the fact that, well, they are a K-pop group, so the world must all love and want more K-pop. And that's just not how it works. That's why they keep failing." So I guess if you as a producer or record label really want to create or be the mastermind behind the next BTS in terms of popularity, you need to look for very unique artists that are not necessarily going to be part of a group like BTS. I may be saying complete nonsense now because I'm not a record producer or anything like that, but the actual record producers and analysts have been studying BTS closely for years and they still ain't did it. So this is just what a simple music fan like me would do.
And the thing is, don't say simple. Don't try to downplay yourself because in all honesty, you know what K-pop fans want because you're a K-pop fan. That's the difference between you and one of them executives. They don't know about K-pop for real. Even though they study it, they not in the headspace of a fan. The fan base really is the root of everything. You know what I'm saying? It's like the roots of a tree. The executive could be the tree trunk. You know what I'm saying? The executive could be the tree trunk. But at the end of the day, what's going to hold that tree trunk down? What's going to hold that tree trunk down? You know what I'm saying? It's the fan base. You know what I'm saying? And because you're a fan, you know what it's like. I feel like That's why I started doing YouTube, because one day I'm sitting here and I'm like, bro, I've been watching YouTube for a long time. I know how to make a YouTube video. I know what is interesting because I watch stuff that's interesting. It's millions of people who watch the videos that I watch. You know what I'm saying? I know what titles look like. I know what's interesting to the eye when I scroll down my timeline. I just have to throw my own spin on it, and I can't try to be like somebody else. And that's the difference. They trying to get a group and make them like somebody else, instead of taking the key elements, the key components, building an organic fan base, and, you know, pushing their people to be the greatest they can be.
Number one, if you want to create the next big artist in America, you need to first focus on the music. Looks are great, but every single K-pop group has good looks. You need to step up your music game. You cannot debut in America with a song about being the best at jopping.
You have to tell me what jopping means.
What?
Yes?
And puppy.
We jopping! Jopping, of course. Why did I ask?
Number two, and this also applies to Western attempts.
Don't be mediocre.
Don't be mediocre and lazy. The
Facts.
reason why every single attempt of the next big boy band failed in 2016 and 2017, and also the reason why the comeback of all boy bands failed too, was because they were extremely mediocre when compared to BTS. This is the main reason why it's highly unlikely to find the next BTS, because BTS did not only set the bar extremely high for K-pop, but also for the Western music industry.
Nah, facts. And if you ever watched the Rise of Bangtan, I haven't watched the whole thing, but just starting off with the first 2-3 episodes, they worked hard for it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they just put the music out, they do the little music videos, and that's it. No, they work behind the scenes. And not to say that the other groups don't do that, but whenever you really see like the journey, the consistency, it's like, yeah, you don't think they deserve to be really good? You know what I'm saying?
So stop comparing yourself to BTS, because that is a game that you are going to lose. Number three, and this is for music labels, be patient. The Beatles, Michael Jackson, Queen, and BTS did not become the biggest artists in the
overnight
world with their first release. Don't try to force or fake a big debut when it really isn't a big debut. And more importantly, don't be like Simon Cowell or SM and abandon your group when the media play didn't work. Small debuts are not necessarily a bad thing. The ones trying to create the next BTS are some of the biggest labels. So instead of spending all this money in fake achievements and media play, try to spend this money in keeping your group alive as long as you can, so they can musically and artistically grow. Number four, be different. If you really want to have a big debut like Olivia Rodrigo or Justin Bieber, look for what the music industry is missing, not what it already has. When Olivia Rodrigo debuted, the industry didn't have a Disney star sing about her love life for years. And when Justin Bieber debuted, he became the first teenage heartthrob born on the internet. Find something different, because BTS's level of artistry takes years to replicate. BTS did not have a huge debut in South Korea, but when they entered the Western music industry, they had already perfected for more than 4 years artistic elements that the Western music industry didn't see before. In other words, to find the next BTS, you need to stop trying to find the next BTS.
I've literally been saying that the whole video, bruh.
In other words, to find the next BTS, you need to stop trying to find the next BTS. You may think that right now is the right time to create the next BTS, because BTS are not releasing music as a 7-member group for the next 2 years. But the fact that they are still planning to release a lot of music during this time is not a good sign to continue creating groups that resemble them. The Backstreet Boys took a 4-year hiatus, and during this time, no other boy band could become as big or bigger than them. And BTS's level of performance and music, as well as worldwide popularity, is even bigger and harder to replicate than the one of the Backstreet Boys. This is how hard it will forever be to replicate BTS. Even if the BTS members release no music at all during this time or any other time in the future, that actually leaves K-pop at disadvantage in the Western music industry, because all the hype around K-pop is born with an interest in BTS. K-pop's achievements in the West are not K-pop's achievements, they are BTS's achievements. So
Hold up, you're spitting right now. If they go on a hiatus for 2 years, don't drop no music, then like all of the people who really genuinely just fell in love with K-pop from BTS, because even the BTS fans know, like, hey, we fell in love with it because of BTS, and that's how we found the other members. Now you losing a lot of fans coming in and finding out about those new groups because you losing BTS. That's what she's saying.
BTS stops being BTS, K-pop will definitely be bigger than what they were before 2017, but they will go back to being a niche interest because the ones giving K-pop the title of mainstream are BTS only.
Yeah, like they kind of like bringing up the conversation about K-pop every time that they go number one or every time that they in the conversation in the West. But if nobody else can accomplish what they can accomplish and go number one and be, then where's the conversation about K-pop in the West? You know what I'm saying?
Without them, K-pop has no legendary records in the West.
Interesting.
I
Very
know it's hard to
interesting.
believe because of all the media play that exists trying to devalue BTS's popularity and art, but musical acts like BTS are once in a lifetime. We don't know if the next big thing is even going to be a group from South Korea or a boy band from the UK. By the way things are going on right now, there are more chances of having the next big legendary artist come from a Spanish-speaking country. And
They
there
have
are
been
way
going crazy. They have been going crazy.
more chances for this legendary artist to be a soloist, but that would only happen by promoting the artist as their own authentic self. And this is something that BTS is doing right now while they release solo albums. So it looks like the next BTS is BTS. Not only because their comeback in 2025 will be extremely hard to match, but also it looks like all the K-pop categories in Western award shows will go for BTS members either way.
Dang, that is smart. So because the group is so huge, the individuals now dropping their music, and now they're getting even deeper into the, you know, now the relationship between the members, the group, and the fan base is getting even deeper and stronger. Dang, whenever they do come back, I'm not gonna lie, if they have a genuinely like ridiculously good comeback, because they probably will. Let's keep it a buck. It's BTS. They don't miss. Whenever they do come back, depending on how ridiculously great it is, bro, they might not ever be topped, to keep it a bean. I hate to jump the gun early, but they might not ever be topped after that.
Even in South Korea, J-Hope, the only BTS member who has released a solo album until now, already has 6 award nominations, including Song of the Year and Artist of the Year, against himself in BTS. So stop trying to find the next BTS because number 1, BTS is still here, and number 2, you're setting your groups up for failure. Music labels, K-pop fans, and the media need to wake up and stop humiliating their groups like this. Let your performers become artists. Let them be small so they can grow, and let them grow organically, because
you're not giving them a
was
chance.
BTS's story, and they did not become the next somebody. They became the first BTS.
Facts.
사실 저는 그 제2의 방탄소년단, 제2의 뭐뭐가 좀 존재하지 않는다고 생각을 해요.
They literally giving you the keys, bruh. Another great video by Boris City Magazine. I enjoyed it a lot, and it was very insightful. I really do enjoy the content. Continue to make content. I'm probably smaller than Boris City Magazine, but still go show some love. Subscribe. Tell them Vex sent you. And without further ado, I'm out. Peace and love always.